how conversational bullies turn the tables, and how you can take control. We've all been there. You're engaged in a dialogue, thinking you're exchanging ideas in good faith, when suddenly the ground starts shifting underneath you. Without realizing it, your words get twisted, you lose your calm, and you come away looking ridiculous or aggressive, even when you're the one acting reasonably. This is precisely what happened in a high-profile interview between Cathy Newman and Jordan Peterson, a dramatic showdown that reveals much more about communication tricks than just two people arguing. The moment you realize what's really going on, you can protect yourself and even come out looking more poised, more credible, and more in control. The subtle tricks conversational bullies use. One of the first signals you're dealing with a conversational bully is a dramatic shift in framing, turning your words into something you didn't say. Often, this tactic starts with phrases like, "so you're saying," and then proceeding to restate your view in a way that's much more simplistic or even ridiculous. For instance, when Peterson suggested there's a natural structure to human relationships, he was presented as stating something much more restrictive or unfair. This tactic, putting words in your mouth, sets a trap. You're forced to waste time denying something you hadn't said in the first place. This tactic is a form of framing, a way for your opponent to dictate the terms of the debate. The key to avoiding it is simple. Slow down, clarify your own point, and avoid falling into their framing. "Actually, what I meant was," that's your way back toward fairness. Hidden presuppositions, the assuming the sale trick. Sometimes a person will sneak in an opinion or a claim within their question, much like a salesperson assumes you're already going to buy their product. This tactic presupposes something you do not agree with, forcing you into a corner. Consider when Cathy asks Peterson, "Why should women put up with it?" This assumes he believes women should put up with unfair treatment, which he clearly doesn't. Instead of validating that framing by addressing it directly, Peterson points out the presupposition first, stating, "I'm not suggesting that women should put up with it." This lets him avoid the trap and retain control of the conversation. The smash technique, piling question after question. Sometimes a person will overwhelm you with a cascade of questions, adding additional points before you have a chance to respond. This tactic, called the smash technique, prevents you from addressing each concern carefully. The way to deal with this is to slow down, separate the points, respond to them one by one, or even ask your counterpart to restate their main concern. This lets you bring order back into the chaos. Turning debate into connection. One powerful way to ease tensions in a heated exchange is by demonstrating you're not at war with the other person. You're engaged in a search for understanding. Instead of framing their view as irrational or ridiculous, show you're wrestling honestly with their points. Peterson successfully did this by turning Cathy's own words back toward her, illustrating that the two of them valued many of the same things: free expression, fairness, justice, even if they diverge on policy details. This tactic lets both people align their perspectives instead of growing further apart. Final takeaway: staying calm and firm. Ultimately, navigating a tough exchange gracefully comes down to staying calm, thinking carefully, and not letting framing dictate your response. The person employing these tactics is looking for a reaction, a moment of weakness you can avoid by keeping your poise and focusing on the facts. This is a powerful interpersonal skill, whether you're in a TV interview, a business meeting, or a difficult conversation with a friend. The more you can spot these manipulative moves, the less control they have over you, and the more you can guide the dialogue toward a constructive resolution. Understanding passive-aggressive behavior, a subtle barrier to healthy connection. Passive-aggressive behavior involves expressing negative feelings like anger, resentment, or frustration in indirect ways instead of addressing them directly. These expressions may include sarcasm, procrastination, silent treatment, or veiled commentary. Warning: recognizing the red flags. Key signs include saying, "Sure, no problem," but then delaying or sabotaging the task. Giving backhanded compliments, "Nice work for you." Withholding important information or resources purposefully. Behaving sullen, cynical, or hostile without explanation. These behaviors create confusion and tension, often leaving others hurt or mistrustful. WebMD.com +14. Therapist.com +14. MayoClinic.org +14. WebMD.com, PsychologyToday.com. Dr. Daniel K. Houpert, psychiatrist at Mayo Clinic, describes passive-aggressive behavior as a mismatch between words and actions, agreeing openly, yet resisting or resenting covertly. mayoclinic.org. +1. En.wikipedia.org. +1. Why it happens. Several factors contribute. Learned patterns. People growing up in environments where direct expression of anger was unsafe might adapt by using indirect methods. ImpossiblePsychServices.com SG. +1. WebMD.com. +1. Therapist.com. Conflict avoidance. When confrontation seems too risky or unacceptable, individuals resort to passive means of communicating hostility. En.wikipedia.org. +15. Health.com. +15. ImpossiblePsychServices.com SG. +15. Stress and low self-esteem, fatigue, anxiety, or feeling powerless may push people to passive-aggressive behavior as a misguided coping mechanism. PsychologyToday.com. +12. Therapist.com. +12. VerywellHealth.com. +12. Mental health influences. Conditions like depression, anxiety, personality disorders, e.g., BPD and PD, can predispose someone to these behaviors. En.wikipedia.org. +5. WebMD.com. +5. Health.com. +5. The damage it causes. Passive-aggressive behavior can have serious consequences. Relationship strain. Creates confusion, erodes trust, and spurs resentment in partners, families, and work environments. PsychologyToday.com. +4. MedicalNewsToday.com. +4. Reddit.com. +4. Emotional toll. Both those expressing and receiving passive aggression may suffer stress, isolation, and lowered emotional well-being. VerywellHealth.com. +5. ImpossiblePsychServices.com SG. +5. En.wikipedia.org. +5. Workplace issues. Undermines efficiency, clarity, and team morale. Persistent passive aggression can hamper productivity and trust. What experts advise. Dr. Houpert recommends recognizing the disconnect between speech and behavior and addressing it openly with empathy. Therapist.com. Stephanie Steinman, Ph.D., advises replacing passive aggression with assertive communication, directly, respectfully declaring your feelings, ideally with I statements, to avoid hidden resentment. Doctors in WebMD and Medical News Today suggest structured therapies, CBT, interpersonal or dialectical approaches, to reframe passive patterns and foster assertiveness. Action steps to improve. 1. Recognize the behavior. Reflect on your own communication. Are you masking frustration through sarcasm, delays, or silence? Seeking awareness is the first step. 2. Communicate assertively. Use clear I feel statements to express needs. For example, I felt hurt when you didn't show up on time. In the future, please let me know if you'll be late. 3. Set boundaries. Say what's acceptable and what isn't, e.g., if you decline a task, I need to know now rather than have to chase you later. 4. Encourage open dialogue. Create a safe space. Phrases like, I sense you might be frustrated. Can we talk about it? Invite honest sharing. En.wikipedia.org. +15. LoomingLife.com. +15. PsychologyToday.com. +15. eNoteAlone.com. 5. Model transparency. Demonstrate healthy communication. Showing vulnerability helps others feel safe to follow suit. 6. Seek professional help. If passive aggression is deeply ingrained or causing harm, therapy like CBT, DBT, ACT, or mediated counseling can be transformative. LoomingLife.com. +3. Therapist.com. +3. WebMD.com. +3. Why it matters. Moving from subtext to authenticity. Strengthens trust and intimacy. Reduces misunderstandings and conflict. enhances self-respect and emotional health. In summary, passive-aggressive behavior undermines healthy relationships and personal well-being. By understanding its roots and applying assertive communication, boundaries, empathy, and, when needed, professional support, you can shift toward more genuine, respectful, and effective interactions. Expert references: Dr. Daniel K. Halflavin, Mayo Clinic; loominglife.com, +1; therapist.com, +1; impossiblepsychservices.com, SG; mayoclinic.org, +1; in.wikipedia.org, +1; Stephanie Steinman, PhD, therapist.com, therapist.com; WebMD/Medical News Today, Therapy Techniques, medicalnewstoday.com. Let me know if you'd like this adapted for a specific audience or context.
Nguồn: Bạn đã nói. Bỏ tất cả trích dẫn. Chat đã nói. Tất nhiên. Dưới đây là bản hoàn chỉnh mà không có trích dẫn.
Understanding passive-aggressive behavior, a subtle barrier to healthy connection. Passive-aggressive behavior involves expressing negative feelings like anger, resentment, or frustration in indirect ways instead of addressing them directly. These expressions may include sarcasm, procrastination, silent treatment, or veiled commentary. Warning: recognizing the red flags. Key signs include saying, "Sure, no problem," but then delaying or sabotaging the task. Giving backhanded compliments, "Nice work for you." Withholding important information or resources on purpose. Behaving sullen, cynical, or hostile without explanation. Dr. Daniel K. Halflavin, a psychiatrist at Mayo Clinic, describes passive-aggressive behavior as a mismatch between words and actions, agreeing openly, yet resisting or resenting covertly. Why it happens. Several factors contribute to passive-aggressive behavior. Learned patterns. People growing up in environments where direct expression of anger was unsafe may adapt by using indirect methods. Conflict avoidance. When confrontation seems too risky or unacceptable, individuals resort to passive aggression instead. Stress and low self-esteem, fatigue, anxiety, or feeling powerless may push people toward these behaviors as a misguided coping mechanism. Mental health influences. Conditions like depression, anxiety, or certain disorders can contribute to passive-aggressive patterns. The damage it causes. Passive-aggressive behavior can have serious consequences. Relationship strain. It erodes trust, fueling resentment and confusion in friendships, families, and workplaces. Emotional toll. Both the person employing these behaviors and the recipient suffer stress, isolation, and lowered well-being. Workplace issues. This kind of interaction undermines team spirit, collaboration, and productivity, adding to interpersonal tensions. What experts advise. Dr. Halflavin emphasizes the importance of recognizing the disconnect between words and actions and addressing it openly with empathy. Therapists advise replacing passive aggression with assertive communication, stating your needs directly, respectfully, and honestly, in order to avoid fueling resentment. Structured therapies, whether interpersonal, cognitive, behavioral, or dialectical, can aid people in reshaping their communication patterns and fostering healthy relationships. Action steps to improve. 1. Recognize the behavior. Start by reflecting on your own communication. Are you masking frustration through silence, delays, or irony? 2. Communicate assertively. Consider framing your messages with "I feel" or "I need" instead of blame or attacks. 3. Set boundaries. Clearly state what's acceptable and what's not, and follow through with appropriate boundaries if they are crossed. 4. Encourage open dialogue. Create a safe space for expression. Phrases like, "I sense you might be frustrated, can we talk about it?" foster understanding instead of resentment. 5. Model transparency. Showing vulnerability and honesty can help ease interpersonal tensions and enable a culture of authenticity. 6. Seek professional help. If passive aggression is deeply ingrained or causing significant harm, therapy or interpersonal guidance can aid in navigating these patterns. Why it matters. Moving from subtext to authenticity strengthens trust, reduces conflict, and improves relationships for both individuals and groups. Change starts when we become more conscious, take responsibility for our communication, and learn healthy, constructive ways to connect with one another. Here's a fresh take in one seamless, compelling paragraph, reshaped in a distinctly different voice and style. When faced with hostility, responding thoughtfully rather than defensively can shift the tension in your favor. You can turn the aggressor's impulse into hesitation and compel them to rethink their approach. Start by calmly identifying their emotion. Acknowledge the anger or frustration they're projecting without mirroring it, because recognizing what they truly feel can short-circuit their intent to provoke. Use precise I statements such as, "I notice you're upset," to hold a mirror up to their behavior without sounding accusatory, making them pause to process instead of react. Mirror back their tone or wording, but slow it down and soften it, coaxing them into self-awareness. Your calm reflection encourages self-restraint. Ask a disarming question like, "Can you tell me what you mean?" It interrupts the momentum of confrontation and invites clarity, forcing the other person to contribute rather than just barrage. Gently but firmly establish a boundary. Something like, "I want to continue this, but once we're both calmer," signals that aggression isn't acceptable and gives them license to cool down. Finally, offer a concise summary of what they're upset about, followed by a constructive suggestion. "I hear you're worried about the deadline. Let's map out the steps to cover it together." This wraps their emotion in structure and purpose, leaving them with a choice to escalate or collaborate. Yet since you've skillfully guided them into a regulated exchange, the likelihood of regret, in the form of realizing the attack was unnecessary, grows dramatically.